Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to a capsule selection. Today we're going to dive into the lover's wood. The lover's wood is which I affectionately call sandalwood. It's one of the most milky, sweet, creamy, and attractive wood compounds in perfumery. I actually want to bring this list about because these are 10 of my favorite, not my whole encompassing of sandalwood fragrances, but 10 of my favorite fragrances with different variations in the way sandalwood comes off. Very sensual, almost to a calming and relaxing effect. And I actually want to make this video because I'm interested in going back to the Louis Vuitton store up the street to see if I'm truly interested in the fragrance Lovers by the House of Louis Vuitton, headed up by Pharrell. I smelled it once. I thought that it smelled like original Santal, or not original Santal, but Santal 33, which I do have a decant form and it's not on this particular list. But I do want to see if it's something I want to add to my repertoire, to see if it's a purchase now or to put it to the back of my purchase recommendations that I've made for myself through sampling. So as I go through this list, I hope there's something that you find interesting. And if always, pull up a seat, pour a glass, and of course, let's enhance. Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to the Dry Down, the lifestyle channel where we as enthusiasts aspire to enhance and elevate our olfactive sensory experiences through the understanding of the different aromas, facets, and nuance of scent, cigars, and wines. I'm your host, Chris. Welcome to today's experience. We're going to dive right into this sandalwood list, the list of wood for lovers. As I like to say, it's ironic that I've been saying the lover's wood for quite some time and that Pharrell will come out with a sandalwood fragrance called Lovers, but the irony in that is spectacular. This is, first off, I'm going to go with the scent by the House of CLIVE. This is Original Santal. Original Santal is a fragrance that has been in my collection for about 10 years now. It's 2014, so about 10 or 11 years. It is a fragrance that I truly enjoy wearing in the fall, spring, fall, and sometimes in the winter season. It's built a lot on musk, Mysore sandalwood, lavender, coriander, ginger. So very lively, very upbeat fragrance that uses components of wood to make it very compelling to wear. This is a 75 ml bottle that I have enjoyed in my collection. It's not one that I pull off very often because of the way the 75 ml bottles have gone extinct, and I want to keep this one to cherish it for a while. So this one, like I said, is very fougere-esque, aromatic fougere-esque, but it uses a lot of Mysore sandalwood, which is one of the most sought-after sandalwoods in perfumery. And it is one that is an enjoyable fragrance, very masculine leaning, very woody, very mature, and quite the becoming scent when it comes to wearing suit and tie affair type of event spaces, and even a actual nice first date fragrance for a man to wear. Original Santal is one of the best sandalwood fragrances in my collection. I think it fills a void where many fragrances do not. So if you guys ever have a chance to get your nose on Original Santal, get your nose on the fougere style with a nice, creamy, spicy sandalwood in it. Next up on this list, guys, I have one by the House of XERJOFF in the Join the Club collection. This one here is one of their original bottles. This is the, I believe 50 or 100 mil. This is a 50 ml bottle that they came out with first as the Join the Club collection fragrance bottle. This was one of the more spectacular stylized bottles that they used. And I do regret that they have changed up this style of bottle because this was one that really set off a mantle and or desktop when you had it out. So I will tell you briefly, this one is a fragrance built around a lot of ambery, vanilla, sandalwood accorded opulence. For me, this is one of the ones, like I stated, I believe, in my last video, where it was L'air du Désir Moroccan, where there are scents that take you in a transportive state. They really modulate how you feel in a moment, but also take you to another place in time. Even if you've had a vacation there or you wish to, these type of fragrances built around very spectacular wood accord, spices, and sweet aromatics are very, very sumptuous, and they very much put you in a mind state of being somewhere else, another place, another time. Ivory Root is one of the sexiest fragrances that XERJOFF manufactures. It's, like I said, a vanilla, ambery sandalwood scent, and it goes off spectacular. It's much more derived in the ambery vanilla sweetness, and the woody compounds in this one is the backbone and layering effect that gives off such a sweet, milky credential to the actual fragrance. And I love the way this one smells. If not for many in my collection that have come in recently, this would be one of those fragrances that are the top 20 fragrance in my collection. Very, very becoming of a sensual, sexy fragrance, but still like alluring and sweet that comes off very well in the fall, winter, and spring weather. Once again, Ivory Root by the House of XERJOFF. Next up on my list, guys, what I have here is a fragrance by the House of ACQUA de PARMA. And this one here, they come in and out of their range so often with the way that they produce fragrances, from the bottle styles, the bottle coloration. But this is when they first produced Sandalwood. And I really enjoy this particular scent. This is one that goes in the style of the Creed original SANTAL, but it takes a variation, a very big variation and deviation, by adding the ACQUA de PARMA citruses in it. It's one that is very much so becoming as a effervescent vacation style of fragrance while still having a lot of woody depth and backbone for cooler weather. It is a spicy, creamy take on sandalwood. It's not Mysore and it's not Australian. It's actually India sandalwood. And I know that Mysore is in India, but I don't know if they had the actual Mysore sandalwood. It may be the new rebirthing of the wood they're composing and growing and farming in India, and may not be calling it Mysore, but I do know this one was an India sandalwood that they used in this one. And it comes off very, very well. It's a very woody, fresh citrus fragrance done by Francois Dimarche, who is one of the best perfumers out there in the world, actually. Does a lot for Dior, did a lot for Dior before Kirk John came in. And it's a very becoming fragrance. I think all of you guys, if you're looking for a sandalwood fragrance that has a lot of backbone, a lot of earthy gravitas to it, this is the one to pull out of this list. And as I go through this list, like I stated, I'm trying to see if the actual Lovers has a place in my wardrobe. And as you can see, just as yet, outside of Santal 33, which I reminisce around that fragrance, or have resemblance to that fragrance, yet to see in this actual list that I have shown you out of the 3 so far, it does not resemble any of these just as yet. So it may be one of those fragrances that is starting to broach a quick pickup and purchase for me today. Once again, Sandalo by the House of ACQUA de PARMA. Next up on the list, guys, I got another XERJOFF. You guys know I love XERJOFF, man. It's one of the best fragrance houses, in my opinion. They really do a great job in just producing polished fragrances that go off well. And RICHWOOD is one spectacular rose, geranium, tangerine, patchouli, and sandalwood fragrance. Heavy, heavy, heavy in the Mysore sandalwood. Very earthy, very gritty. But very elegant in the way it's produced and made and develops and evolves on your skin. It has a lot of musk inside of this particular fragrance, a lot of black currant bud, which is a spicy, astringent feel to it when it opens, but it then goes over that bed of mandarin and bergamot with that creamy, milky Mysore sandalwood and the beautiful, lovely style of geranium and rose that they place inside this particular scent. And it has a bit of a sweetness from tonka bean in it as well, with a little bit of vanilla hint. But all in all, this is one of the most elegant fragrances in my collection that I wear a lot of times in the winter time, not many other seasons, maybe late fall, but mainly a winter fragrance. It can be actually used in many other seasons, but it's one for me that, with the scent memory that I have with it and the occasions that I usually see myself pulling this one out, its mainstay is the fall, winter for me, and it goes off beautifully in those particular times and moments that I choose to wear it. And it is one that I think is in the top 3 or 4 of my Mysore sandalwood or sandalwood accorded fragrances. So if you guys have not had the chance to smell RICHWOOD, I think you should get your nose on it. It's one beautiful, beautiful scent that uses a lot of patchouli, sandalwood, rose, and geranium variations with lemon, the signature XERJOFF lemon orchard, lime orchard, and orange orchard that they love to put into their fragrances. Once again, RICHWOOD by the House of XERJOFF. Next up, guys, I got here REHAB by the House of INITIO Parfums. This is, quite frankly, one of my most complimented fragrances in all of my collection. And my wearing of this particular scent has been mostly in the spring, some summer nights. I know this can go off. This is actually a 4-season scent, but when I've chosen to wear this has been the spring and fall. And it is based around a nice, classical, woody, lavender style of fragrance. So it has a lot of woody tonality to it with some effervescent spices and lavender. And this comes off as a wonderful, wonderful compliment magnet type of fragrance. It's very, very beautiful in the way that they were able to use musk and sandalwood in this one. Sweet, light jasmine, light heroin jasmine is in this as well. So it's very becoming fragrance. Like I said, this is one of my fragrances that got me some of the most, it was head turning in a moment in an elevator at a rooftop party. And it went off as well as you can expect the fragrance to go off in that moment. It was quite the whole elevator had a laugh, I should say. So once again, one of my favorite sandalwood fragrances by the House of INITIO Parfums, Rehab. Wood, classical fragrance with a lot of lavender, heroin, musk, patchouli, and of course sandalwood. Great fragrance. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm going through this particular list, it surprises me, or maybe it should not surprise me, I should say, that many of my mainstay compliment fragrances in my collection have been sandalwood based fragrances. So this must be a trigger point. You know, I have a lot of complimented fragrances, but I'm looking at this list and a lot of my memories coming back from overt compliments, sexual and flirtatious, have come from sandalwood based fragrances. So that is possibly why I've labeled it Lovers as the Lovers Wood. This is Town and Country, and I got this early spring of this year, and it has gone off as one of the best compliment getters in my collection. As I stated, I think I did a video format 3 weeks back where I talked about, ooh, who is that? I talked about a lot of the fragrances in my collection that give me a lot of compliments. And this woody, ambery, accorded fragrance is one of those scents. It's amber, it's sandalwood, it's clary sage, it's a little bit of incense and bergamot with lemon and a white tea accord in this one as well. But the overall scent of this is sandalwood, sage, and amber. And the way that they mix with the spiciness of the ambery sage and the woody, milky sandalwood is one head-turning, just harmonious blend of all the fragrance accords and notes in this one that come off and blast as a great projector and beautiful sillage for about 3 to 4 hours, and then it toms into a nice little bubble around you. But those 3 to 4 hours, that peppery kick of clary sage, that aromatic style, the amber is very, very sweet, but still slightly leathery, the way that it comes off with that ladanum in it. And of course the sandalwood, creamy, woody, spicy, a great fragrance for you guys to get your nose on. Next up on this list, guys, I got a scent from the House of GUERLAIN, and man, everyone. Next up, guys, I got a scent here by the House of GUERLAIN, and I'm another one of those lists where I'm pulling out back to back, just head turning, just bangers, man. When I say bangers, these are fragrances that have really given me compliment factor, great wearability, and just the actual feel of wearing a lot of these scents have just given me pleasure. And that's one thing about this game as well. We don't always need to go out and get the compliment factor fragrances. A lot of these, man, the exploration of this hobby is built around personal pleasure, because you are the one who's spending the most time with these fragrances. And I've yet to pull out one of these scents that I said, you know what, that ain't my favorite, but I'll wear it for the crowd or wear it for the masses, when there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you choose to do, because I've done it as well. But every time I've pulled out a fragrance from this particular sandalwood collection that I'm showing you, these are fragrances that I've chosen to wear, chosen to sample, and chosen on my own accord to pick up as bottles. And one after the other has given me the smile on my face that you see. It's good to see that, man, when you have a collection that you really adore and want to have in your actual rotation. And SANTAL Royale is a fragrance from the House of GUERLAIN. It's a great woody, ambery fragrance that has some resemblance to some fragrances on the market like Mana and or Ombre Nomad, not particularly anything higher than above a 75% match, I would say. But SANTAL Royale is a beautiful scent done by this particular brand, GUERLAIN, which is sandalwood, neroli, rose, spice, agarwood, amber. But the notes that go off spectacular in this one are the woody components of sandalwood and oud with the rose, peach, amber, and neroli. And you get a very beautiful scent indeed. It's a great wearing fragrance that has a great projection cloud, a great sillage behind you in the room. It goes about 3 to 4 feet in that sillage, and it very much so wears for about 8 hours on the skin. It comes off very well. This is one that has me, as I'll say about lovers, thinking about purchasing GUERLAIN's Les Arts and Materials collection, the Rose Saint-Paul. That fragrance I've tested and am very, very interested in having it in my collection. Much more interest than I have for lovers. But like I said, I'm going to give lovers a second try today as I go out and seek for this SANTAL wood fragrance that's on the market that everybody's telling me I need to go get my nose on again. But think about that one as well. The SANTAL, I think it's Rosa Saint-Paul or SANTAL Rosa. It's one of those names. It's a red bottle. I'll look it up and put it in the show notes. Great fragrance as well, along with this accompanying Santal Royale. This is Guerlain. Next up, guys, I'm going to show you a fragrance that I'm not even going to speak much about it. It's one of, I'm seeing my favorite fragrances because it's the third time I've mentioned it in as many weeks or maybe months. Man, not even that long. But this is Sacred Wood by the House of Kilian. This is one that I believe that I stated, this one to me, I wore in the days approaching me first smelling Lovers at the ACQUA boutique. And I was like, you know what? I would much prefer the scent that I was wearing either the day before or the day, 2 days before than Lovers. It didn't capture me the way I wanted to. It has the same pickle, Santal, sandalwood type of smell. The green galbanum in there did interest me going into the dry down of the fragrance. The scent was not a bad scent, but it just was a quick reminder and reflection on what I had and what I felt was better. Now, I'm not saying this is better for everyone, but I'm saying for that day and the way I remember wearing that fragrance the night before, the day before, it felt better on my skin. It's more one I've chosen and reviewed, and actually this is my second bottle of this one. So let's see how it goes today. As I continue to say, the Sacred Wood is one beautiful sandalwood fragrance. It uses Mysore sandalwood, amyris, kapul balsam, cedarwood, carrot seed, tolu balsam, and amber seed. So it's a musky, sweet, ambery style of sandalwood, very creamy, milky, and to me, it goes away from the conventional way in use that many of these scents have, as far as going spectacularly sexy and sensual and elegant, or fougere-esque. This one leans more toward the balsamic arena, and it's one of my favorite indeed. Once again, Sacred Wood by the House of Kilian. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next up what I have on this list is Armani Prive Queer Noir. Now, to me, this one is titled completely wrong, but I can't, This is Queer Noir, meaning a dark leather. To me, I don't get as much dark leather as I do rose and sandalwood. The leather component to this, it shows up in its fruity form late in the dry down. It has a bit of an animalic take on it, which I do get, but I think that more animalic smell comes from ambergris to me. This is a well composed, very well done, great depth, great evolution, beautiful fragrance that I actually love wearing a lot. It is one that had gotten to my collection this past, I would say past fall of 2023. And when I got it, I knew I wanted it. I got it in my collection because I had sampled. And I said I wanted me a new dark leather that was not of the take that the ombre leathers or the Tuscan leather style. I wanted something deeper, richer, more rosy, and much more sensual, and that's what this does. But to me, the thing that compelled me to purchase it was the use of the sandalwood, and that part of this is very, very sensual smelling. It has a nice spice accord of coriander and nutmeg, which, those are very sensual and sexy scents. It also has a very beautiful tonality of sweetness from benzoin, not ambery at all, but very nice, lovely benzoin accord, like a balsamic style, like I said. And it's very becoming of a scent. So if you guys ever got your chance to get the nose on Queer Noir, this is one great, a fantastic sandalwood fragrance with a lot of woody components and leather and rose. And I think that you guys would be mistaken to not have this one on your radar and think about getting Queer Noir as a sensual based sandalwood fragrance with a lot of elegance. Once again, Queer Noir, Armani Prive. Ladies and gentlemen, last on this list of my top 10-ish, not all top, I'll say a variation of my favorite fragrances when it comes to sandalwood. I'll keep on track with that. This is Cartier's Oud and Santal. Now, I'm a person that have found great pleasure in the Premier line for Cartier. I have the Oud and Oud, the Oud and Amber, and now the Oud and Santal. This one's about 5 or 6 months old. Can't wait to pull it out in the fall 2024. This here is a spectacular agarwood, sandalwood, and plum fragrance. When you talk about, head turner, one of those compositions that Mathilde Laurent, who was the master perfumer behind a lot of Cartier's Premier line fragrances, really did a phenomenal job in the way she composed this particular fragrance. Now, I'll say this, and this is not something that should sway you in its particular wearability and or what you should try out. this smells better than Oud and Amber. Oud and Amber is still my #1 fragrance of all time because the way I perceive it, the way it comes in and develops for me. But as a fragrance, the way this one comes off to others, and the components of this and the actual profile of this one, much more so than the Oud and Amber, people have taken to this one who have let smell it or worn it around. It's a very sweet take on, not very sweet, it's a balsamic sweet take on plum, sandalwood, and oud. And when I say goes off very, very well, if you're a person who has been in the game long enough and smell fragrances like plum Japanese, and that's a sought after fragrance that's going for like a 50 ml, it's like $700 now. This fragrance smells identical to plum Japanese minus the cinnamon accord. So it does not have that cinnamon spice, but everything that is warm, cozy, sexy, and sensual about plum Japanese is inside of this particular scent, and it comes off as such. And it smells just as divine as plum Japanese does. Like I said, very, very sensual, sexy, and sweet fragrance that has balsamic accords, oud, and santal. And it is very much so a great wear. And I can tell you right now, coming in the fall, late summer sometimes of this particular year, you're going to be hearing this on my channel a lot because of the way it performs, the way it projects, the way it wears, and the way I perceive and others perceiving around me as a great smelling autumn winter fragrance that has a lot of classical woody touches to it. So once again, Matilda Laurent penned this particular bottle of Oud and Santal, and it's one great bottle for the House of Cartier. This is plum, this is wood from sandalwood and agarwood, and it comes off phenomenal. Get your nose on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my list for you guys today on my favorite sandalwood accorded fragrances in my collection. I have put these out. I'm going to take a few scent strips with me to compare and contrast against lovers at the actual Louis Vuitton boutique. I'm going to go to the mall, spray it on my hand, give it a few hours to wear as I walk around the mall. I am going to get a couple shirts from Neiman Marcus for business wear. I need a couple blue shirts with the white collar. So I'm going to go find my guy, my SA in Neiman Marcus, pick up a few shirts, wear it, let the actual fragrance do what it does without having any distraction in the other stores trying to smell fragrances like I did that day. Give this the true essence and then compare it against what I have as my sandalwood fragrances in my car. And if it's one I really want, you will see that video coming very soon because it will be purchased today if it is a purchase at all. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you as always. If you have any comments or concerns, just leave them in the comment section below. Always hit the like button and subscribe if you have not. And until next time, until next video, peace.